Cardiff is the capital and largest city in Wales and the 10th largest city in the United Kingdom. The city is the country's chief commercial centre, the base for most national cultural and sporting institutions, the Welsh national media, and the seat of the National Assembly for Wales. The unitary authority area's mid-2011 population was estimated to be 346,100, while the population of the larger urban zone was estimated at 861,400 in 2009. The Cardiff metropolitan area makes up over a third of the total population of Wales, with a mid-2011 population estimate of about 1,100,000 people. Cardiff is a significant tourist centre and the most popular visitor destination in Wales, with 18.3 million visitors in 2010. In 2011, Cardiff was ranked 6th in the world in National Geographic's alternative tourist destinations. The city of Cardiff is the county town of the historic county of Glamorgan. Cardiff is part of the Eurocities network of the largest European cities. The Cardiff urban area covers a slightly larger area outside the county boundary, and includes the towns of Dinas Powys and Penarth, a small town until the early 19th century. Its prominence as a major port for the transport of coal following the arrival of industry in the region contributed to its rise as a major city. Cardiff was made a city in 1905, and proclaimed the capital of Wales in 1955. Since the 1980s, Cardiff has seen significant development. A new waterfront area at Cardiff Bay contains the Senedd Building, home to the Welsh Assembly, and the Wales Millennium Centre Arts Complex. Current developments include the continuation of the redevelopment of the Cardiff Bay and city centre areas with projects such as the Cardiff International Sports Village, a BBC drama village, and a new business district in the city centre. Sporting venues in the city include the Millennium Stadium, Swallow Stadium, Cardiff City Stadium, Cardiff International Sports Stadium, and Cardiff Arms Park. The city was awarded the title of European City of Sport twice, due to its role in hosting major international sporting events, first in 2009 and again in 2014. The Millennium Stadium hosted 11 football matches as part of the 2012 Summer Olympics, including the game's opening event and the men's bronze medal match. Etymology: Cardiff derives from the earlier Welsh from Cardiff. The change from dyf to dydd shows a colloquial alteration of Welsh f and dd, and was perhaps also driven by folk etymology. This sound change had probably first occurred in the Middle Ages. Both forms were current in the Tudor period. Cardiff has its origins in post-Roman Brythonic words meaning the fort of the Taff. The fort probably refers to that established by the Romans. Caer is Welsh for fort and dyf is in effect a form of Taff, the river which flows by Cardiff Castle, with the T showing consonant mutation to D and the vowel showing affixation as a result of a genitive case ending. The anglicised form Cardiff is derived from Cardiff, with the Welsh f borrowed as fff, as also happens in Taff and Llandaff. As English does not have the vowel, the final vowel has been borrowed as. The antiquarian William Camden suggested that the name Cardiff may derive from Caerdydd, a name supposedly given in honour of Aulus Didius Gallus, governor of a nearby province at the time when the Roman fort was established. Although some sources repeat this theory, it has been rejected on linguistic grounds by modern scholars such as Professor Gwyneth Pearce. History, origins, archaeological evidence from sites in and around Cardiff, the St. Lythans burial chamber, near Wenvo West, southwest of Cardiff city centre, the Tinkinswood Burial Chamber, near St Nicholas; west of Cardiff city centre, the Sea Revide Chambered Tomb, Craidraw; northwest of Cardiff city centre, and the Gwern Wyclep Long Barrow, near Coed Canoe. Newport, northeast of Cardiff city centre, shows that people had settled in the area by at least around 6,000 years before present. During the early Neolithic, about 1,500 years before either Stonehenge or the Great Pyramid of Giza was completed, a group of 5 Bronze Age tumuli is at the summit of the Garth, within the county's northern boundary. 4 Iron Age hill fort and enclosure sites have been identified within Cardiff's present-day county boundaries, including Ira Hill Fort, an enclosed area of 5.1 hectares. Until the Roman conquest of Britain, Cardiff was part of the territory of the Silures, a Celtic British tribe that flourished in the Iron Age, whose territory included the areas that would become known as Breconshire, Monmouthshire and Glamorgan. The 3.2-Hectare fort established by the Romans near the mouth of the River Taff in 75 AD, in what would become the northwestern boundary of the centre of Cardiff, was built over an extensive settlement that had been established by the Silures in the 50s AD. The fort was one of a series of military outposts associated with Isca Augusta that acted as border defences. The fort may have been abandoned in the early 2nd century as the area had been subdued. However, by this time a civilian settlement, or vicus, was established. It was likely made up of traders who made a living from the fort as ex-soldiers and the families. A Roman villa has been discovered at Ely, contemporary with the Saxon shore forts of the 3rd and 4th centuries. A stone fortress was established at Cardiff. Similar to the shore forts, the fortress was built to protect Britannia from raiders. Coins from the reign of Gratian indicate that Cardiff was inhabited until at least the 4th century. The fort was abandoned towards the end of the 4th century. The last Roman legions left the province of Britannia with Magnus Maximus. Little is known about the fort and civilian settlement in the period between the Roman departure from Britain and the Norman conquest. The settlement probably shrank in size and may even have been abandoned. In the absence of Roman rule, Wales was divided into small kingdoms. Early on, Mary ap Tudrig emerged as the local king in Glywazing. The area passed through his family until the advent of the Normans in the 11th century. Norman occupation to the Middle Ages. In 1081, William I, King of England, began work on the castle keep within the walls of the old Roman fort. Cardiff Castle has been at the heart of the city ever since. The castle was substantially altered and extended during the Victorian period by John Crichton Stewart, 3rd Marquess of Bute, and the architect William Burgess. Original Roman work can, however, still be distinguished in the wall facings. A town grew up in the shadow of the castle, made up primarily of settlers from England. Cardiff had a population of between 1,500 and 2,000 in the Middle Ages, a relatively normal size for a Welsh town in this period. It was the centre of the Norman marcher lordship of Glamorgan, and by the end of the 13th century, Cardiff was the only town in Wales with a population exceeding 2,000, although it remained relatively small compared with most notable towns in the Kingdom of England, and continued to be very much contained by its walls, which has begun as a wooden palisade in the early 12th century. It was nonetheless of sufficient size and importance to be awarded a series of charters, notably in 1331 by William La Zouche, Lord of Glamorgan, through marriage with the de Clare family. Edward III in 1359, then Henry IV in 1400, and later Henry VI, in no small part due to the historic Anglicisation of the town. In 1404 Owain Glyndwr burned Cardiff and took possession of the castle. As many buildings in the town were made of timber and tightly packed together within the town walls, much of Cardiff was destroyed. Ironically, given the treatment of Cardiff by Glyndwr, a statue of him was erected in Cardiff Town Hall in the early 20th century, reflecting the complex and often conflicting cultural identity Cardiff has as the capital of Wales. However, the town was soon rebuilt on the same street plan and began to flourish once again. In addition to serving an important political role in the governance of the fertile South Glamorgan coastal plain, Cardiff was a busy port in the Middle Ages due to its location on the Bristol trading routes, and was declared a staple port in 1327. This furthermore led to the town gaining a reputation for piracy, which by the early modern period led to much dispute between the burgesses of Cardiff and the surrounding county families. County town of Glamorganshire in 1536, the Act of Union between England and Wales led to the creation of the Shire of Glamorgan, and Cardiff was made the county town. It also became part of Kibber Hundred. Around this same time the Herbert family became the most powerful family in the area. In 1538, Henry VIII closed the Dominican and Franciscan friaries in Cardiff, the remains of which were used as building materials. A writer around this period described Cardiff: "The River Taff runs under the walls of His Honour's castle and from the north part of the town to the south part, where there is a fair quay and a safe harbour for shipping." Cardiff had become a free borough in 1542, and further royal charters were granted to the town by Elizabeth I in 1600 and James I in 1608. In 1573, it was made a head port for collection of customs duties. Pembrokeshire historian George Owen described Cardiff in 1602 as the fairest town in Wales yet not the wealthiest, and the town gained a second royal charter in 1608. A disastrous flood of the Bristol Channel on the 30th of January 1607 led to a change in the course of the River Taff and the ruining of St Mary's Parish Church, which was replaced by its chapel of ease, St John the Baptist. During the Second English Civil War, St Fagans, just to the west of the town, played host to the Battle of St Fagans. The battle, between a royalist rebellion and a new model army detachment, was a decisive victory for the parliamentarians and allowed Oliver Cromwell to conquer Wales. It is the last major battle to occur in Wales, with about 200 soldiers killed. In the ensuing century, Cardiff was at peace. In 1766, John Stuart, 1st Marquess of Bute, married into the Herbert family and was later created Baron Cardiff, and in 1778 he began renovations on Cardiff Castle. In the 1790s a racecourse, printing press, bank and coffee house all opened, and Cardiff gained a stagecoach service to London. Despite these improvements, Cardiff's position in the Welsh urban hierarchy had declined over the 18th century. Ilo Morgannwg called it an obscure and inconsiderable place, and the 1801 census found the population to be only 1,870, making Cardiff only the 25th largest town in Wales, well behind Merthyr and Swansea. Building of the docks in 1793, John Crichton Stuart, 2nd Marquess of Bute, was born. He would spend his life building the Cardiff docks and would later be called the creator of modern Cardiff. A twice-weekly boat service between Cardiff and Bristol was established in 1815, and in 1821, the Cardiff Cardiff Gas Works was established. After the Napoleonic Wars, Cardiff entered a period of social and industrial unrest, starting with the trial and hanging of Dick Penderyn in 1831. The town grew rapidly from the 1830s onwards, when the Marquess of Bute built a dock, which eventually linked to the Taff Vale Railway. Cardiff became the main port for exports of coal from the Cynon, Rhondda, and Rhymney valleys, and grew at a rate of nearly 80% per decade between 1840 and 1870. Much of the growth was due to migration from within and outside Wales. In 1841, a quarter of Cardiff's population were English-born and more than 10% had been born in Ireland. By the 1881 census, Cardiff had overtaken both Merthyr and Swansea to become the largest town in Wales. Cardiff's new status as the premier town in South Wales was confirmed when it was chosen as the site of the University College South Wales and Monmouthshire in 1893. A permanent military presence was established in the town with the completion of Maundy Barracks in 1877. Cardiff faced a challenge in the 1880s when David Davies of Llandynnym and the Barry Railway Company promoted the development of rival docks at Barry. Barry docks had the advantage of being accessible in all tides, and David Davies claimed that his venture would cause grass to grow in the streets of Cardiff. From 1901, coal exports from Barry surpassed those from Cardiff, but the administration of the coal trade remained centred on Cardiff, in particular its coal exchange, where the price of coal on the British market was determined and the first £1 million deal was struck in 1907. The city also strengthened its industrial base with the decision of the owners of the Dowlais Ironworks in Merthyr to build a new steelworks close to the docks at East Moors, which Lord Bute opened on 4 February 1891. City and capital city status. King Edward VII granted Cardiff city status on 28 October 1905, and the city acquired a Roman Catholic cathedral in 1916. In subsequent years, an increasing number of national institutions were located in the city, including the National Museum of Wales, Welsh National War Memorial, and the University of Wales Registry Building. However, it was denied the National Library of Wales, partly because the library's founder, Sir John Williams, considered Cardiff to have a non-Welsh population. After a brief post-war boom, Cardiff docks entered a prolonged decline in the interwar period. By 1936, their trade was less than half its value in 1913, reflecting the slump in demand for Welsh coal. Bomb damage during the Cardiff Blitz in World War II included the devastation of Llandaff Cathedral, and in the immediate post-war years the city's link with the Bute family came to an end. The city was proclaimed Capital City of Wales on 20 December 1955 by a written reply by the Home Secretary Gwilym Lloyd George. Carnarvon had also vied for this title. Cardiff therefore celebrated two important anniversaries in 2005. The Encyclopedia of Wales notes that the decision to recognise the city as the capital of Wales had more to do with the fact that it contained marginal conservative constituencies than any reasoned view of what functions a Welsh capital should have. Although the city hosted the Commonwealth Games in 1958, Cardiff only became a centre of national administration with the establishment of the Welsh Office in 1964, which later prompted the creation of various other public bodies such as the Arts Council of Wales and the Welsh Development Agency, most of which were based in Cardiff. The East Moors Steelworks closed in 1978 and Cardiff lost population during the 1980s, consistent with a wider pattern of counter-urbanisation in Britain. However, it recovered and was one of the few cities where population population grew during the 1990s. During this period, the Cardiff Bay Development Corporation was promoting the redevelopment of South Cardiff. An evaluation of the regeneration of Cardiff Bay published in 2004 concluded that the project had reinforced the competitive position of Cardiff and contributed to a massive improvement in the quality of the built environment. Although it had failed to attract the major inward investors originally anticipated, in the Welsh devolution referendum 1997, Cardiff voters rejected the establishment of the National Assembly for Wales by 55.4% to 44.2% on a 47% turnout, which Dennis Balsam partly ascribed to a general preference in Cardiff and some other parts of Wales for a British, rather than exclusively Welsh, identity. The relative lack of support for the Assembly locally, and difficulties between the Welsh office and Cardiff Council in acquiring the original preferred venue, Cardiff City Hall, encouraged other local authorities to bid to house the Assembly. However, the Assembly eventually located at Ty Howell in Cardiff Bay in 1999. In 2005, a new debating chamber on an adjacent site, designed by Richard Rogers, was opened. The city was county town of Glamorgan until the council reorganisation in 1974 paired Cardiff and the now Vale of Glamorgan together as the new county of South Glamorgan. Further local government restructuring in 1996 resulted in Cardiff City's district council becoming a unitary authority, the City and County of Cardiff, with the addition of Craidraw and Penturk government. Since local government reorganisation in 1996, Cardiff has been governed by the City and County Council of Cardiff, which is based at County Hall in Atlantic Wharf, Cardiff Bay. Voters elect 75 councillors every 4 years. Between the 2004 and 2012 local elections, no individual political party held a majority on Cardiff County Council. The Liberal Democrats held the largest number of seats and Councillor Rodney Berman was leader of the council. The Liberal Democrats and Plaid Cymru formed a partnership administration. In the 2012 elections, the Labour Party achieved an outright majority, after gaining an additional 33 seats across the city. The National Assembly for Wales has been based in Cardiff Bay since its formation in 1999. The building, known as the Senedd, was opened on 1 March 2006 by the Queen. The Assembly members, the Assembly Commission and ministerial support staff are based in Cardiff Bay. Cardiff elects 4 constituency Assembly members to the Assembly, with the individual constituencies for the Assembly being the same as for the UK Parliament. All of the city's residents have an extra vote for the South Wales Central region, which increases proportionality to the Assembly. The most recent Welsh Assembly general election were held on 5 May 2011. In the Assembly, Cardiff is represented by Jenny Rathbone in Cardiff Central, Julie Morgan in Cardiff North, Vaughan Gething in Cardiff South and Penarthun Mark Drakeford in Cardiff West. In Westminster, Cardiff is represented by Joe Stevens in Cardiff Central, Craig Williams in Cardiff North, Stephen Doughty in Cardiff South and Penarthun Kevin Brennan in Cardiff West. The Welsh Government has its headquarters in Cardiff's Kitayes Park, where most of its civil servants are based, with smaller numbers in other locations in the city centre, Kitayes, Canton, and Cardiff Bay. There are other Welsh Government offices in other parts of Wales such as Llandudno and Aberystwyth, and international offices throughout the world. Local government. For local government purposes, Cardiff is divided into communities. Several of these have their own community council, while the rest are governed solely by Cardiff City Council. They are Dysvane, Old St Mellons, Penturk, Rada and Morganstown, St Fagans, Tongwynle,